Well, hello there, and thank you so much for joining us. Now, we've recorded this presentation as part of Summerfest Online Vegan Festival. Now, normally I like to do these sort of presentations live because when you pre-record a session like we're doing today, there's always the temptation to go back and edit it and try and take out the ums and the ahs and the little mistakes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and make this as live as possible and keep that live vibe going as if you're here in the room with me. So we might get some bloopers in here, I might lose where I am, the technology might play up. We don't care, we're just going to push through and do the entire presentation. Now, who am I? Well, my name's David Pannell and I'm from Vegan Business Tribe. And today we're talking about how to run and have a successful vegan business. Now, if you've already got a business, this is going to be of interest to you. And it might be that you've got a vegan business or you might have a non-vegan business, but you're looking to what we call veganize it. However, it's also going to be of a lot of interest to you if you don't already have a vegan business, but you're thinking about launching one because it's a big thing to do. It's a major part of your life, changing career or launching a new business. So you'll be spending a lot of time finding out information and you'll be wanting to talk to people and you'll be wanting some mentorship. So hopefully that's what we'll go through today. So first of all, what's my background? Who am I? Well, with my partner Lisa here, my day job is actually for Promote Vegan, which is a vegan agency working usually with larger food companies to help them understand the vegan consumer and succeed in the vegan marketplace. However, Lisa and I also write the monthly business column for Vegan Food and Living magazine. And finally, we're also the official UK agents for the Vegan Society. So we're quite interesting people to get to know in the vegan sphere. And the whole reason we set up Vegan Business Tribe alongside Promote Vegan was to help more vegan companies get successful in the marketplace. Because why should you even have a vegan company? And it's simply because if you have a vegan business, you have something that other business owners don't. And that is a burning desire to make the world better. And the more consciously vegan you are, the more successful your vegan business will be. And that's because you'll be on a mission. You'll be building a tribe around you of people who believe to their core what your business is trying to do. And you need to remember this. You're not running a business, you're starting a movement. And that's one of the most important things to remember if you're launching a vegan business. Now, running any business and your own business can be incredibly hard. It can be, sometimes it's a hard slog and other times it's incredibly stressful. However, because you're running a vegan business, you're doing it for far more than just making a living. You're aligning your career with your passion. Now, this means you can make a living out of doing something that you absolutely love. But I think it's fair to say there's a lot of vegans out there who don't seem to like making money. But you can do far more with profit than you can with a loss. Now, you can be worried that it's not ethical. I mean, you know, I don't really want to make money out of fellow vegans. We want to be helping each other and further the vegans' cause. But just remember this. Your business will only be successful if it's sustainable. You need to be able to make money to keep that business going. And only if you're successful with a vegan business can you actually help bring around a vegan world, which is what we're all trying to do. So you can really set up a business that is built around what you love. And now another reason though to have a vegan business is vegan is the friendliest sector you will ever work in, and that just holds so much true. Even your competition will be your best friends because we've all got the same goal. And it also means that you've got this huge thing in common with your target market. But just because you are vegan yourself, don't think that you know that target market, and don't even think that you are that target market. There's many different routes into veganism, and you need to understand your customers and you need to understand their journey, that they might have got into veganism through a completely different route than you had. So don't just think because you're vegan you understand other vegans and you'll have a lot of success selling to them, because usually that's not quite the case. So this is why you should have a vegan business, but why should you care about the whole vegan marketplace? Why are companies getting so excited about it? So let's look at some stats. The number of vegans in the UK quadrupled between 2014 and 2019. So there was 5 times as many searches for vegan products on Google than 5 years ago. However, vegans still only make up about 1% of the population. So why are companies falling over themselves to bring out vegan and plant-based products? And the reason is this: it's not just vegans. More than half of Brits have said that they've adopted some kind of vegan buying behaviour, and that might be something like meat-free Mondays, or just reducing the dairy, or swapping out rather the dairy milk for plant milk, for instance. But the Waitrose Food and Drink Report said 1 in 3 Brits have stopped or reduced their meat consumption. The Sainsbury's Future Foods report said that by 2025, vegans and vegetarians may make up 1/4 of the population. And this interest has raised significantly during the coronavirus lockdown, especially with millennials and younger consumers as well. There's been a huge rise of interest in veganism as we're starting to investigate our relationships with animals. So there's huge interest. Waterstones, and I love this slide, Waterstones currently have over 9,000 book titles with the word vegan in the title, compared to just 900 in 2018. You know, that is a huge rise. That is exponential growth in the vegan marketplace and the interest in vegan products. Wicked Kitchen vegan meals were rolled out in Tesco's in 2018, and they sold more than 2.5 million units in the first 20 weeks. And that's almost unheard of for a supermarket launch. This has really become mass market. 1 in 4 food products launched in the UK in 2019 carried a vegan claim. But it's not just food. It's everything from vegan holidays to fashion to service industries. The whole vegan marketplace has really taken off in the last couple of years. And big brands have really started to take notice. So even someone like Guinness is now vegan. Now you might be asking yourself, well, how come Guinness wasn't vegan? And it's simply because they used isinglass or fish bladder to filter their products to remove the yeast. So after 256 years of making the product in the same way, they changed it so it'd be suitable for everyone and suitable for vegans. They removed that animal product from their production process. And that's just one example. The most traditional products imaginable, I could have used Heinz, I could have used Oxo, even Fortnum and Mason's favourite Christmas hamper now offer a vegan version. But why? If you accept that veganism is only 0.1% of the population in the UK, then why are these companies getting so excited about this marketplace? And it's that word marketplace which is the important part. Because this is the full plant-based marketplace. And I said earlier that it's not just vegans. There are many types of consumers for plant-based. And remember, you are not your customer. So you may be completely vegan, or you may be somewhere else on this vegan journey, and you can't assume that your customers are, because this is a radically different marketplace, and you need to understand the motivations of each person as they're on their vegan journey and how you can connect with them as a company. So for instance, if you sell a meat replacement product, and these companies who are doing this, they're making huge money at the moment. They're attracting massive investment, and it's simply because you can sell a meat replacement product to the whole of a plant-based marketplace. So if we start over at this side, you've got meat reduction, flexitarian or pescatarian, so people who only eat fish but don't eat other meats. You've got someone then who is vegetarian, who eats no animals at all, someone who's just looking to reduce their dairy, somebody who's on a plant-based diet, and then someone who is fully ethically and maybe even campaigning as a vegan. Now, that's the whole plant-based marketplace, which if you have a meat replacement product, they're your customers. You can sell to absolutely everyone. But imagine, say, if you're selling vegan soap. Now, vegan soap might be absolutely lovely. It might be handmade. You might be crushing rose petals into it. It might be a really, really great product. But if you're selling something like a vegan soap, you're not selling that to the entire marketplace. You're possibly only selling that to just the vegans themselves, which is a much smaller percentage. That's at 0.1% of the marketplace. So you really need to think about who your customers are. And remember, the customers for vegan products are not necessarily what you think they are. It could be the middle-aged couple who are just becoming aware of the impact that meat's got on their health, so they're eating meat replacements throughout the week a couple of times instead to just improve their health benefits. It could be the grandfather who started buying almond milk for when his granddaughter came to visit and discovered that he quite liked the taste of it, and it didn't go off in the fridge quite as quickly. It could be the flexitarians who are more bothered about the impact of animal agriculture has on the environment, but hasn't made that link yet between the killing of animals and what they eat. So there's lots of different reasons and lots of different customers for vegan products, and you've got to understand this. But you've also got to understand that the face of veganism is changing. Now, if I'd have asked someone to draw me a picture of a vegan, maybe even just 5 years ago, it wouldn't have looked like any of these people here. We've got Billie Eilish, we've got Lewis Hamilton, Joaquin Phoenix. These are all people who have got huge platforms, and they've brought huge visibility to veganism, and it's raised the popularity of it. And I could have added plenty more people here. I could have added Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's now gone plant-based. Even Simon Cowell and Mike Tyson are now examples of people who are buying vegan products. So remember, you are not your product, because I'm sure you're neither like Mike Tyson or Simon Cowell, are you? But they might want to buy what you produce as a vegan company. So we really have to smash our stereotypes. And I love this grab that we took off Facebook only a couple of weeks ago, and it says, "I'm a builder and I wish I'd never introduced my lads to soya milk. Grr, get off my effing soya milk." But that is the reality, because it's not just smashing society's opinions of who a vegan customer is, but it's smashing our own opinions, our own preconceived stereotypes as well. So you really need to get rid of your misconception of who the customer is for the product. This is now mainstream, and it might be someone who doesn't yet identify as being vegan, but they are consuming plant-based products. And that means that you need to understand where your product connects with someone on their vegan journey. So if somebody has just moved to plant-based for health-based reasons, as we've got over here, they'll be quite happy walking into a fast food chain and picking up the plant-based patty burger. They're going to have no ethical qualms against doing that. But it's a changing demographic, because quite often somebody will start at one place with their vegan journey, such as going plant-based or vegan for health reasons, which is actually where I started as well. And they will move along. And as they're moving along their vegan journey, and they're becoming a little bit more ethical, the idea then of going to a fast food place to pick up a burger, that might actually turn their stomachs a little bit. They don't want to do that anymore. So they may move on to a different kind of product as they move along their vegan journey. Now, this changing demographic, you don't really get in any other marketplace. You don't get people changing their buying behavior as much as you do in plant-based and vegan. So somebody might move even further along their vegan journey, and this might take months or it might take years, but they'll get to a point where actually they don't like the texture of a meat replacement burgers anymore, simply because they haven't eaten meat for so long. They can have a bit of a physical reaction against it. So they might look for a completely different product, such as Gosh, who make things like beetroot burgers, and they're not trying to be meat replacement. So you need to do the same for your business and product also. You need to work out where your customer is on their vegan journey, and then make sure that your product matches that. And it might be that you even need two products, or even two completely different brands. One for someone when they're right at the start of a vegan journey and are open to a completely different range of products, and maybe a different product and brand for someone when they're far further along their vegan journey. You need to talk to your customers. Have you spoken to somebody who's been vegan for over 20 years? What they buy and the products that they interact with is very, very different from someone who's only been vegan for a few months. Okay, so that's a quick whistle-stop tour through the vegan marketplace and the vegan consumer. So let's go on to this question now. Over on Vegan Business Tribe, something we get asked quite a lot is, well, what kind of business can I set up? What sort of vegan business should I have? Well, it's a really wide marketplace. And now food is always the obvious place to start with a vegan business, but it's become a very saturated market. There are so many food products being put out at the moment that have got a vegan or plant-based claim that it can be quite hard to get noticed. So you can do food, and there's no reason you shouldn't if you think you've got an amazing product, but think beyond the obvious. So vegan services, for instance, vegan experiences and holidays, that's becoming a really big marketplace. Or think about the next phase of someone's vegan journey. Once someone goes vegan, they look around the rest of their lives and they're looking to take animal products out of that. So vegan pet food, for instance, is a marketplace that we're starting to see some investment in. Mother and baby, vegans are getting together, they're having babies, and they're not going to start feeding that baby dairy products and animal products and meat, are they? So that's something which is really going to grow over the next few years. But more importantly, think about the skills you've already got and veganize them. We have vegan hairdressers, vegan plumbers, and that's exactly what myself and Lisa did. We were already running quite a successful marketing agency when we decided to veganize the business and change over to promote vegan. So that's something that you can do as well. But one thing that you really have to remember when you're thinking about what product you might do is this. Vegan, or being vegan, is no longer a USP. It's no longer a unique selling point. And that's simply, I love this photo, and I love this example. So if you can't see, this is a picture of Lisa down at the supermarket in the milk aisle. And we took this photograph because we were contacted by a Canadian company, a Canadian plant-based company, who looked at the UK marketplace and said, we want you to try and help us get into this UK marketplace. We can see it's a really great market for plant milk. So we took this photograph and we sent it back to them and said, okay, so where on the shelf do you see your product squeezing in? And now that was a real eye-opener to them, because if your company doesn't have a point of difference except just being vegan, you're going to find it really hard to stand out. 5 years ago, it was completely different. Just 5 years ago, if I'd have gone to the supermarket and I'd have seen a vegan burger, I'd have potentially bought it out of sheer novelty value. It's something you just didn't see. Now I can walk around the supermarket and I'll see 5, 6, 8, 10, different kind of vegan burgers, or something I could use as a burger in a product. So it's no longer unique anymore. So what I want to do in this next section is talk about being unique. I want to talk about some companies, some vegan companies, who've developed a real point of difference. Now, I'm going to come clean with you here. This first company isn't actually a vegan company. Now, I could argue with you that it is indeed plant-based because it's a flour company, but I know that wouldn't quite wash with you. But it's actually a great example that I like to start out with to explain what I mean by a point of difference. Now, this is Bloom and Wild, and you might have used them yourselves. Now, what Bloom and Wild did was they solved a real problem in their marketplace. So if you want to buy flowers for somebody remotely, so you're not in the area, you can't go and hand them over yourselves, what do? Now, there's a lot of problems there, because first of all, if you're having flowers delivered, you need to know where that person is, and that kind of spoils the surprise if you need to call up and say, where are you going to be at this time, because I've got something to send you. So quite often we'll send flowers to people's workplaces, and that can be even worse. That can be quite embarrassing for someone if a big bouquet of flowers turns up at reception for them. And there's also the problem that you'd never know quite what you're going to get if you order flowers remotely. You have to call your local florist and you have to sort of explain how much you're wanting to spend or how little you can get away with spending without offending them. So it's quite a hard process to go through to order flowers for someone. So what Bloom and Wild did was they realised all these problems existed in the marketplace and they set out to solve them. So first of all, these flowers come through the post, and I know that sounds ridiculous, and if you've never received some Bloom and Wild flowers you won't understand how that works, but they come in a really nice box which fits through the letterbox, and they're freshly sent out, and when the flowers come there's some little instructions of how to arrange them to make them look like a bouquet like this, and they're truly high quality flowers. So that gets rid of the problem of you don't know where someone's going to be because you just have them posted through the door. The second problem that they identified was this whole idea of not quite knowing what you're buying, so they moved to entirely e-commerce. You can actually see the bouquets that you're going to spend your money on. You can look at the different prices and how much money you want to spend, and it's actually made it a really easy process. I've used them quite a few times myself now. So their point of difference is they've taken real problems in their marketplace and they've solved them and made them easy, and that's something you can do as well. Look at the market you're in. What are the real pains in the necks that consumers have, and how can you make it so much more smoother and so much more easier for them? So the next way to create a point of difference is if you're a company who has a real mission. And now this is King's Grooming, and now King's make vegan aftershave and perfumes, and they're all absolutely amazing products, but as we've already discussed now over and over, just having a vegan product isn't a unique selling point anymore. It doesn't make you stand out. Now Blue O'Connor, who founded King's, had real first-hand experience of the difficulties that men face in discussing their mental health. So alongside setting up King's, he set up an initiative called Talk Club, which King's actually funds. And this is a network of groups up and down the country where men can come together just to talk about how they feel. And each meeting starts with a question: how do you feel out of 10 today, and why? So the real point of difference here is no longer the product itself, it's the mission that the company is on. And if you're an ethical consumer and you're thinking about where to place that pound, we'd much rather put it with a company who is doing this kind of work, who are on a mission, than we would just buying products off the high street. Next point of difference is giving vegans something that we think we can't get anymore. Now this is when being vegan is a USP, if it's something we just thought we couldn't have once we've changed to becoming vegans. And this is Mummy Meags. And now every year there's huge excitement in the sweets industry when Easter rolls around, and especially because Cadbury's launch the marketing for their cream eggs every spring. And if you're a vegan, you might see these adverts and think, oh gosh, I can't eat those anymore. If only there was a vegan version I could have. Well, this is exactly what Mummy Meags did. They brought out something which vegans thought they couldn't get anymore. It's a vegan cream egg, and it's a very similar experience to buying a dairy cream egg as well. You know, it's got a very gooey inside and absolutely packed full of sugar. They're not good for you in the least, but they taste fantastic. So Mummy Meags gave vegans something that they thought they just couldn't get anywhere, and they've been hugely successful with it as well. So the Chucky egg generated a lot of PR. You can get it in many different stockists, and it's an absolutely fantastic idea, and it is a real point of difference. Next example. This is Pzone Park vegan bed and breakfast. Now, what Pzone Park have done is they've created a vegan experience that you just cannot get anywhere else. Helen and Carl launched one of the first vegan B&Bs in the country in Scarborough, and what they do is they don't just run it as a vegan B&B, it is an entire experience. They give vegans the ultimate peace of mind that when they're traveling and when they're staying with them, they just don't have to think about all the problems you get when you are a vegan traveller. So it's not just that the food is vegan, and they make the most amazing vegan breakfasts, it's the kind of food you get. They're not necessarily looking just to replace the full English with some Richmond meat-free sausages. They make overnight oats, and they make the sort of breakfast which as vegans we're more likely to eat ourselves at home. They also have lots of little touches there that make it a unique experience, such as providing vegan fridges, because they do get people staying with them who are not vegan and might want to put some dairy milk in the fridge overnight, so they have separate fridges which can have no animal products and no dairy in them at all. And that's really nice touch that if you're a vegan traveller, to know that you've got that there. They'll also act as your vegan guides to the local areas. They'll tell you where the best place to go and eat out is in the area. And Carl himself is a long-term vegan campaigner, and he'll engage with people over breakfast just to talk about compassion, and especially if you're a new vegan, he'll quite often go running off into the back and bring out some vegan milk that they use that doesn't split, or he'll show you something you can swap out for egg, so they're really knowledgeable about it. And this really gives you that all-encompassing, safe, vegan experience that you just can't get anywhere else. And that might be something that you can offer with your company as your point of difference too. Now, the next example I absolutely love, and this is one of my favourites. This lady here is Beth Hart, and now Beth is a vegan taxidermist. Now, let that sink in for a moment, because Beth's point of difference is she is truly remarkable, and I use that in the real sense of the word. You can't help but remark on what she does when you find out. Now, hang on, a vegan taxidermist? We first met Beth because she's a member of Vegan Business Tribe, and when she first posted in our new member form of what she does and what she is, I nearly spat out my coffee, because taxidermy, that involves stuffing dead animals. That's not really vegan. And it took me a moment to work out what she actually does, and the fact that actually no animals are involved whatsoever. Beth is actually an artist, and she sells mounted skeletons of things like tooth fairies or skulls, or such as the mouse here with the ear on its back, but they're all tailored from vegan friendly cloth and fabrics. She sells things like handmade fabric hearts in bell jars that you can buy for your significant other as quite a humorous and macabre gift for Valentine's Day. But what she's doing is remarkable. You have to remark on it, you have to tell others. And I've told so many people about Beth the vegan taxidermist, and I actually enjoy people going through the same thought process that I did when I first met Beth, of hang on a minute, vegan taxidermy? That's not vegan, and then working out exactly what it is that Beth does. So if you've got a company where people double take when they see it, it's so different, it's something you've never heard of, that you have to go out and find more information about it, then the company markets itself, and that truly is a point of difference. Okay, last example is you still can find a real niche. So we say that vegan is no longer a unique selling point, but if you can't actually find a product which is vegan in that marketplace, you can bring one in, and it will be unique for a period of time. So this is cotton safe natural mattresses, which are handcrafted in Devon. And what they realised was that as people go further into their vegan journey, they start to look at what else in their lives has animal products or animal ingredients within it. And mattresses can quite often, either be stuffed with feather or down, but even down to, the fasteners. They can be coated. The metal fasteners can be coated in animal derivatives to stop them rusting. So there are lots of ways that you can get animal derivatives in your mattress. So they were the first people to be certified by the Vegan Society as having a vegan mattress, and that gave them some real first mover advantage. If you Google vegan mattresses, these are the people you will find, and we know that they're successful because we actually approached them last year because we had somebody who was wanting to be one of their sales agents to resell their mattresses, and they simply said they don't need it, they've got all the orders that they can handle. So that is a real point of difference. And now I want to hammer this point home to you, because if you don't have a real point of difference other than your product just being vegan, then some other company will do it better, or somebody will do it cheaper, or somebody will do it bigger, and you just won't be able to compete if you don't have that point of difference. And when we're talking about companies doing it bigger, we mentioned right at the start how so many businesses now are taking notice of plant-based in the vegan marketplace. So how do you take these companies on? How can you take on the big brands with your ethics, as it were? And now this is one of the reasons that so many people don't start a vegan business. They'll say, well, I was going to make vegan cupcakes, but you can now buy them in, Morrison's garages. And we've seen some really great vegan businesses squeezed out of the market. And vegan businesses, to an extent, do need to adapt. They need to understand how to connect better with their audience. But they also need to have that point of difference. And that's because new vegans are wanting brands to transition with them. So if you've grown up knowing and loving and building a relationship with a certain brand, when you turn vegan, you want that brand to turn vegan as well. Consumers want brands to come with them on their plant-based journey. So this means that you, as a smaller vegan business, are going to be up against some huge brands with really big recognition. These are the brands we've grown up with, and all the main dairy producers, for instance, are now launching plant-based milk alternatives almost in competition with themselves. Now, one of the examples I absolutely love to use is this one here. Now, you might be a huge fan of this, you might have seen it yourself, and were we all together in a room full of people, I'd be asking you to put your hand up if you're aware of a Vegan Galaxy and if you've tried one yourself. Now, this was, when it launched, £3 a bar for a bar of vegan chocolate, but it sold out across the country. You simply, when it launched, couldn't get hold of it. People were posting pictures of themselves on Facebook when they eventually managed to hunt some down and to try it. But it's not just Galaxy who've launched out very successful vegan alternatives. It's people like Greggs, Ginsters, Applewood Cheese, Magnum, Ben & Jerry's. These are all people who have gone quite viral with their vegan offering. Now, you could accuse these companies of jumping on the vegan bandwagon, and I'm sure there's some of that in there as well. But these companies do have huge brand recognition. They've got huge marketing budgets and lots more strategy experience than you have. What they don't have, however, is your knowledge and understanding of the vegan marketplace, but also your ethics as a vegan company. So let's look at that. So everybody knows the Vegan Galaxy bar. If you don't, you'll come across it at some point. But do you know Moo Free? Now, Moo Free are also a very good manufacturer of vegan chocolate. Now, some would argue, myself included, their chocolate is actually better than Galaxy. But if you're a new vegan and you see these brands side by side on a shop shelf, which one are you probably likely going to pick up? Probably the Vegan Galaxy. Even at £3 a bar? Yes, probably even at £3 a bar. Because you don't know Moo Free. Even though they make award-winning vegan chocolate, you've not come across them before. But let's look a little bit closer at these two companies. So what does Vegan Galaxy have? They've got huge brand recognition, they've got massive resources, and they've got lots of marketing strategy experience. But do they have the ethics? Think of the hundreds of thousands of litres of milk that Mars Incorporated get through, every year in their non-vegan products. So let's compare this to Moo Free. So Moo Free, they've got their own vegan factories, sending zero waste to landfill. They're organically certified and ethically sourced. They have a policy to employ people who have difficulties finding employment. Now, 20% of Moo Free's workforce are people with autism. Now, once you know this, where are you going to want to put your vegan pound? Where are you going to want to buy from? Which company are you going to want to support? And the truth is, this is where many vegan businesses fall down. They simply don't have that strategy experience to get over all this ethics at that point of purchase, to build that tribe of followers around them. But that's what you need to do, and that's what the successful vegan companies do. So let's take a look at where the big brands fall down. Brands and established brands are entering the vegan marketplace with a real lack of understanding. Now, I've got a little hobby where I like to collect examples where non-vegan brands get vegan extraordinarily wrong, and I keep little clippings and screenshots and labels and such things, and these are all examples that I found on the high street. So I'm not going to say which these companies are, but this one here, our vegan friendly sofas are ready to buy. Choose from British velvet, wool or false leather, because they've not realised wool isn't actually a vegan material. This great one here, the vegan collection, handmade dark vegan salted caramel skulls, and it contains 0 lactose milk. So it still has milk in there, they've just taken the lactose out. That's not a vegan product, but it's been sold on the high street as one. And my latest favourite example is Marmite flavoured hummus. Now this should be a vegan product made in heaven. Many vegans absolutely love Marmite. It's one of their go-to products. And lots of vegans love hummus. Bring the two together, you should have the ultimate vegan product, apart from they added milk. And now that's a real example of a consumer just not understanding their marketplace there. So how are the established brands getting it wrong, and how can you get it right to compete? So what I like to do is I always like to look through the comments section of vegan Facebook groups, and if you're researching a vegan business, get onto those Facebook groups and find out what people are talking about in there, because it's a brilliant place to do a research. And I love this one here. It said it's feedback that someone's given in the vegan Facebook group, and I'll read it out to you. It said, I went into Boots yesterday in Oldham. Oh, I need to put an Oldham accent on. I went into Boots yesterday in Oldham and I asked for a vegan mascara. The lady said, vegan? Is that a brand? After I explained, she looked at me like I was from the planet Zog and said, I don't know, you'll have to Google it. I left the shop so bloody angry. Customer services will be getting a call tomorrow. And this is really interesting, because are you telling me that as a vegan business you can't do better than that? Are you telling me that you won't be able to understand your customer better than Boots do at the moment? Absolutely not. And this is where you can win. You can connect better. You can understand the customer and what we want as vegans better. Another great example, this is a photo I took myself. Now this was a hotel chain which I stayed in when I was going down to a vegan event actually where I was speaking, and they said that they cater for vegans and they offer a vegan breakfast, and when I got down there I saw the Alpro and I thought, well, this is a good start, but none of the cereals that they had on offer were actually vegan cereals. They had granola that had honey in there. They had cornflakes which had vitamin D from lanolin in there. So there's actually nothing I could eat. And this is a real failing on the most basic level of understanding. Now, you know this, and you can beat the hotel chains at this because you do understand the market, because you are vegan yourself and you can demonstrate that. So another way that you can really prove to customers that you care about them and understand them as vegan consumers is that you just don't care about them just in January. Now, supermarket ranges have been really good at bringing out new vegan products for Veganuary and at the start of the year, but all of a sudden they just discontinue them and they dump them as soon as you get to the 1st of February. Now, this really is seen as jumping on the bandwagon. All that goodwill that their consumers just gave them for bringing out a really great vegan product just turns to disappointment and angry letters to customer services. Now, you as a vegan company, you go beyond Veganuary. You care about your customers all year round. Now, something else you can do to prove to the customers that they should be buying your vegan product from a vegan company is remembering that customers are looking for certainty. There's a lot of new vegans out there at the moment. There's a lot of people who have only just recently transformed over to a vegan diet, and they're in learning mode. So we spoke a moment ago about Facebook groups. If you go into a vegan food Facebook group, one of the most popular questions that is asked is this vegan? Alongside a shot of the back of a pack for people to read through the ingredients. And it's not just new vegans who don't always understand what makes a product vegan. Brands don't understand themselves either. There are lots of ways that animal derivatives can find their way, especially into food products. Vitamin D, which I mentioned earlier, that Kellogg's use in their cornflakes, is quite often from sheep's wool or lanolin. And many E numbers are for animal derivatives. Gelatin that comes from beef that you get into jelly babies, for instance. But even obscure items like fruit. So if you've got citrus fruit, quite often that's waxed, and that wax itself is usually made from shellac, which is actually an insect ingredient, so it's not suitable for vegans. So what you might want to do if you do have a vegan product is look at something like the Vegan Society vegan trademark, and that allows people at a glance to know that that product is vegan. And that's not just important for your vegan customers and consumers, it's important for their friends and family as well. If they're looking to buy a vegan gift, or if they're cooking for the daughter-in-law who's coming around who's vegan and they're not sure what to buy, seeing something like a vegan certification, any vegan certification is better than nothing, will prove to them that they can buy your product with confidence. Another way to give them confidence is sell your product somewhere that only lists vegan products, such as the Vegan Kind supermarket, the online store. Now these are doing absolutely amazing at the moment because vegans love to buy, and we will buy more when we know we don't have to check that every item is vegan. We get into a little vegan bubble, a vegan utopia, where we can get a little bit click happy because we can have anything in front of us. We're like children in a sweetie shop. So you can look at someone like the Vegan Kind supermarket, but getting listed comes back to what we spoke about earlier about having a point of difference. Vegan Kind are not just looking for another vegan snack bar, they're looking for something which is truly different because they've already got very good listings on there, so you need to be going to them with a product which really stands out. Something else you can do as well to prove to customers that your product is truly vegan is you can link up and partner up with other vegan companies. This is One Planet Pizza, who recently released their One Planet Pizza Direct service. Now, you may or may not know of One Planet Pizza, but they sell frozen vegan pizzas, and you can buy them in different stores and supermarkets, but now you can also have them delivered to your home. They come frozen in packs of 3, which you put straight into the freezer or straight into the oven. Now what they actually do is they're looking for other products which they can include in their boxes when they ship as free samples in their deliveries of frozen pizza. So if you get your product in there and you work with One Planet Pizza or some similar company who does this, when the consumer receives it, they know that the other products they're picking out is vegan as well. So this whole idea of creating confidence to get more people to buy your vegan product is really important, and that's something you can do which the larger brands can't. Okay, now my apologies, this has been a little bit of a whistle-stop tour, and what I would say is if all this has piqued your interest and you're saying, hang on, I've not really thought about who my customers are. I've always assumed they're just vegans like me. Or maybe you're thinking, yes, I do want to launch a vegan business, but I've not really thought about what you've said about creating a point of difference. I'd like to know more about how I can actually do that. Then come and engage with Lisa and I over at Vegan Business Tribe. That's where we give support and mentorship, not just from ourselves, but our wider community of vegan businesses. You can also network with our other members and just to get to know other people who have got vegan businesses and support each other and start to work with each other as well. Now, what we're just about to launch, and hopefully by the time this video comes out, you'll be able to find out much more information on it, is also our new course on how to promote a vegan business. Now, this has modules that you can work through at your own pace, which goes through researching your customer. It goes through how to define your point of difference. It goes through lots of different things that you might not have thought about as a vegan business, even down to how you to use social media, how to come up with content strategies, and how to really build a tribe of loyal followers around you who believe in your vegan mission to their core, because that's where you will find success, and it's the best and quickest way of launching a vegan business. Okay, that's it for me. I am amazed, honoured and surprised that you stayed with me right till the end. So drop me an email at Vegan Business Tribe. Let me know what you thought of this presentation, and just let me know that you stayed right to the end and you're going to be my hero for today. We'll see you there.